It is another edition of Inside Coverage here on Yahoo. We thank you for being here, and we thank you for being here for our Week 10 preview show. We've officially moved to the second half of the season. This is a pretty good week with a great Sunday night game, a great Monday night game, and really good action all across the board. 7 games early and 3 games late. We've got a game in Europe as well, an international game between the Colts and the Falcons in Berlin, the first game in Berlin. My name is Andrew Siciliano. I promise we will get to those games. We will give you the normal fun and frivolity and what we think will happen in the 5 most important games to us coming up in Week 10. We want to start, though, with a different tone because today was a very different day in the NFL. If my shot looks a bit different, it's because I'm sitting in a hotel room in Cleveland. I'm here early this week for the Browns. Browns and the Jets, they're going to play at a rainy MetLife Stadium coming up Sunday in New Jersey. I was sitting here at this desk today when watching the morning shows, just caught my breath. I was literally knocked breathless when I heard the news that Marshawn Kneeland, the second-year defensive end for the Cowboys, who scored his first career touchdown on Monday night, was found dead at the age of 24. And we didn't know the details. We just knew that he was gone. And there were crazy stories going around the internet, but nobody knew. And then you found out later in the day that police believe that Marshawn Kneeland took his own life. And there was a police chase, and then eventually he fled his car, and then he got back to his home, and then he took his own life. After scoring his first touchdown on Monday night, touchdowns are not everything. It's a young man who I don't pretend to have known, had brief interaction with him at the Senior Bowl when he was coming out of Western Michigan last year in the draft. I just knew he was a young player on the rise in Dallas. And it truly does take your breath away because it's a lonely world out there. And your first thought is for his family and his Cowboys family and his teammates. And there is no way to truly express how you feel, how we all feel, and how you wish it was different. I was in an NFL building today. As I said, I'm here in Cleveland, here with the Browns all day. It did feel different. They're getting ready for a game. It feels different because, it's a hit to the NFL family. Charles Robinson has covered the league forever. Ben Fawkes is here, as he always is, on Thursday, our betting analyst. And we will get to all the games as promised. But Charles, I know you've talked to a lot of people around the league. This hits different today.
Yeah, I mean, it's everyone. This was set in front of them in the NFL, whether you're in the personnel ranks or a player, coaching staffs, just people who run buildings in the NFL. It's just so unfathomable to have an NFL player, especially such a young NFL player, take their life and only days after scoring the first touchdown of their career of what was an unbelievable moment in prime time. And what's interesting is to kind of put this into some context that maybe people don't know. Marshawn Kneeland played his high school football at Godwin Heights in West Michigan. Godwin Heights was in our conference when I played high school football. It's a Class B school. You play your football in front of a couple hundred people on a great night. And when you play in Class B in West Michigan, when someone makes it to D1, you know who that player is. Like, it's a big deal when someone gets to D1. But when someone gets to D1 and then goes and manages to be drafted in the second round of the NFL, that's it. That's the moonshot of dreams coming out of that part of the state, because you come from such a small place, and it's almost unthinkable to climb from there to the NFL. And so, it really resonates. And there are a lot of NFL players on rosters who come from situations like that. So it's hard to make sense of something like this when it happens. And, it's something that will be dissected, and we'll know, more details as things go on. But obviously, sort of the state, when you talk to people in other teams today, the state of how do you get here, there's questions about, how lonely are NFL teams now? Or are we reaching out to each other enough on NFL teams? And I talked to an executive today, and he said, he's been in the league decades, and he said it's lonelier now than it ever has been before in terms of communication with people. Just because technology has gotten better, you can do things on your own, and so you just don't talk as much as you used to. And so people naturally wonder, was there some way to have known what was going on with him that could have maybe changed this outcome?
Ben?
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately it's pretty simple. It's just really sad. There's not any giant analysis. It's just really sad. This is someone who's really young, and it doesn't really matter if it's the peak of his career or he wasn't playing well or whatever. Like, he's a human being. He's part of the NFL. And I do think it sometimes seems like a cliche, but it is a family, right? Like, these are all players. They're all the best. They've made it to this level that very few people in their lives, think of all the college football players. There's so many teams that get drafted, or if they don't get drafted, make it to the NFL and then even have that moment. I think we've probably become desensitized maybe sometimes after the NFL. If there's some incident, we think, oh, was this a player and CTE, and was there something that was caused? It's so rare that it's something, during a career and somebody so young. And so I think, your heart just goes out to his family, and it doesn't matter if it's the Cowboys and you're a fan or you like the Eagles. It really is irrelevant. There's no winners or losers. There's no gambling. There's nothing else. Just a human story. And like I said, I think it's just really sad. And there's, we're hopeful that there aren't more of these stories basically in the future. It's just something that's completely out of the blue and not what you'd kind of expect waking up today to be on the news and on NFL shows.
Yeah, we don't know what he was dealing with. It's a friendly reminder, though, everyone's dealing with something, right? Every interaction you have on a day-to-day basis, whether it's somebody when you're getting your coffee in the morning, or that guy that honks you, or that you honk on your way to work and the commute is we're all trying to get to the office. Whomever it is, everybody has something. And the loneliness thing really, really cuts through here. I'll be honest with you. Like, it's lonely working at home. It is. I miss a newsroom. I miss the energy of talking to people every day and joking and laughing and hearing about their lives and commenting on the news and workshopping stuff out loud. I mean, modern technology is amazing. I'm very grateful that I can do this show from home. Right now I'm in a hotel room. But yeah, life gets lonely, and I don't know if that's what Marshawn Kneeland was dealing with. But it is something that Matt Rule brought up today. Matt Rule is the head coach, obviously, now at Nebraska, the former head coach of the Carolina Panthers. And he talked for a couple of minutes today during his normal game week presser. I think it's worth playing. Again, it's about 3 minutes. This is Matt Rule today in Lincoln. Go ahead.
So you're poignant seeing the tragic news out of Dallas today, and understanding that none of us know what people are going through. That's why I think we all should be careful about what we say to people. I think we should be careful what we tweet about people. I think we should be cognizant of what everyone's going through. And I told our players they should take their headphones off in the cafeteria and sit down with someone and be like, "How you doing, man? What's going on with you?" Because somebody that we're talking to, that we're saying, "What's wrong with that guy? Man, that guy's messed up." Instead of saying what's wrong with him, we should all say, "I wonder what happened to him," because everyone's suffering. And so I look at these opportunities. Everyone's kind of, everyone's going through something. We're going to go on the road together, man. It's just a chance for us all to come together and be a team and unite together and spend time together. And I think it's a good opportunity for us. But I have to, I said my condolences. Obviously, it's just awful news. But you also know at the same time, I've given the eulogy for players of mine who've had the same thing happen, and so it's just, you never know what people are going through. And I will forever, the rest of my life, think about the time that I saw Adrian Robinson right before he took his own life, and I saw him on campus, and I was walking this way and he was way over there, and I was like, I need to catch up with Adrian because he had got done playing, and a week later he left this world, and a month later I was given the eulogy. And I just wish in my life I could go back and just stop and say, "Hey, how you doing?" And so it's not really what you asked, but it's on my heart, and I just share it with the team. Like, I just think it's a time in this world for us to be kind to people, and at the same time care about people and ask about people. Our generation of kids, my kids, they all just say, "Yeah, I'm fine, I'm straight," and it's just like you really got to unearth it. So I look at road trips and travel, and I look at time together, practice as chances to impact young people's lives and try to be around them. And I would encourage everybody to. I would encourage everybody today with your own kids or the people you work with, just check on them, because that young man scored a touchdown just a couple days ago, and on the outside world you'd think he's at the pinnacle, but he's dealing with something, and I don't know what it was, but I pray for him and his family. So, that's the weight of coaching young people today, and they're going through a lot, way more than I went through growing up. So. Just a sad story, but sad fate. And again, I pray for him. But I also know there's probably someone on my team going through something very similar. And so, in what ways can I be there for them? Can we all be there for them? I think that's the blessing we have of having another week together. So I'm grateful for it. I've challenged our guys all week to be great teammates, to rally together, to come together, and not just for TJ, but for every single guy on this team. And for the guys even that aren't on the trip, that are home, just be there for everybody. So that's what we're trying to build. And it's maybe old school and kind of it's not in vogue anymore. Everything's about the transfer portal and rev share. But I still think young people probably need people that care about them. So that's never more evident today. So thank you guys. I hope you guys are all well as well. Good to see you.
Well said. Matt Rule's a class act. And you see on the screen here, 988lifeline.org. If you need someone to talk to, if you have feelings that you're not sure you can control, 988lifeline.org. Rule was talking about Adrian Robinson there, who's was a Temple player who, when Rule was the head coach there at Temple in Philadelphia, took his own life. A player that, when Rule was an assistant there and a recruiting coordinator, he helped recruit to bring to Philadelphia. We all have stories like these. Sadly, there are too many of them. But Charles, I think he makes a great point. It's a point that you made as well. It's not just football, but football, I think often we use the cliche as a microcosm for society, but football is also a very tight-knit group usually. It is, we always talk about the family and the locker room and the togetherness. At the same time, you walk through any locker room these days, you got a gazillion guys, yes, making noise and talking, but a gazillion guys staring down at their phones as well. Yep. Like the rest of society. We think we're close in proximity, but we're not. We're not really close. It does mean something to pick up the phone. It does mean something to look someone else in the eyes and say, "How are you?" And when they say, "I'm good," no. Put your phone down. Like, really, how are you?
Yeah, I mean, they're earbuds, not earplugs, right? You don't have to completely shut off. And I think about, when I went through training camp this year, there was a part of the tour where I went to a team facility and they had broken for lunch, and there was sort of a lobby area where players could, sit. It was, no one else could really get in there except for players and personnel. Reporters could pass through. And there had to be a dozen seats, maybe, upwards of 15 seats, all sort of individually throughout that area. And there was a player in every single one, and they all had earbuds in, and they were all on their phones. And you realize now, in a time like this, I took note of it when I walked through. I thought it was interesting, but now I think back and I'm like, yeah, you're in a facility that's bustling, right? You could be in the cafeteria, but you're on your own personal time. And does that time become a bubble? And, even as I said, I talked to an executive, and he said, this is at all levels of football organizations. He said, the personnel departments, he said, scouting, particularly if you're a road scout, it's a very, very lonely job. But in days of past, when you go back 15, 20 years, it was a close-knit community because everyone's on the road alone together. And when you would go into facilities to watch film, you had to watch film together. And so you all got to know each other. You'd have conversations. You'd even know things about each other's families. 20 years later, it's not like that. You go in and you're all on pads, and you might be near each other, but everybody's in their own bubble, breaking down things their own way. Again, how it ties to Marshawn Kneeland, who, by the way, also lost his mother in February of 2024, going into the draft process. That was something that was written about in West Michigan newspapers. how hard it was for him at that time to go through his draft process, having suddenly lost his mother. We don't know what all factors into this, but I think it's a moment that raises an important conversation that Matt Rule was, laid out there very poignantly. Think about each other, right? Like, know that, as you said, Andrew, everybody's got something going on in their lives. And all it takes sometimes is just a little bit of grace to take a breath and go, okay, let me not get angry here, or, hey, something seems a little off here. Let me just ask, hey, what's going on? And maybe try to start a conversation.
Yeah. Ben, before you jump in, Ben, I want to play what Graham Gano said today. So Graham Gano, Giants kicker. Look, he's battled injuries all year. And there is a tie-in here to gambling. And I want to make something very, very clear. There is no connection here that we know of with Marshawn Kneeland in any way, shape, or form. But what we're about to play from the Giants kicker, Graham Gano, just speaks to the overall atmosphere that we're in right now when it comes to pressure on people in the public eye, in the spotlight, athletes in particular.
Graham, if this was just for you, an isolated incident the last week, I'm sure you'd be frustrated enough. But given what you said a couple of weeks ago, coming back, can you describe what you're going through right now, the emotions?
Yeah, it's unbelievably frustrating. I mean, obviously all I want to do is play football. I can't control the injuries that have happened. It's not like I've done something that is out of the ordinary, like outside of the building, to hurt myself or anything. So I think that's frustrating. I hear everyone else's frustration, media, fans. I get ever since sports betting started happening, I get people telling me to kill myself every week. And, because I'll hit a kick that loses them money. I'll miss a kick and it loses them money. It was the other day somebody told me to get cancer and die. So, I mean, that stuff's part of it. But just being, playing this long, that stuff, you're used to it by now. So, but with that being said, I see everyone's frustration, and I'm frustrated too. Just want to play ball, and I think that just constantly not being able to is tough. But doing everything I can to try and come back and play, and I mean, that's my hope.
Ben, what's the most disturbing thing there in what Graham Gano said? One of those lines near the end where he said, "You're used to it by now." Used to it by now.
Yeah. Look, I wouldn't say it's been a banner week for the legal sports betting industry, or a couple of weeks. But ultimately, I think this has been going on for as long as we've had sports, right? I think the biggest issue is the barrier to entry, right? Like we were talking about before show previously, you might have needed to write a letter or, there's so many steps you have to go to basically direct your ire towards an athlete for a performance. This has been happening for fantasy football for years, for daily fantasy sports, but with the rise of social media, there's just no barrier to entry. You can create a social media account in 2 minutes and post whatever you want directly to that person, tagging them. And ultimately, in the same way that fans who buy a ticket, right, to a game, that entitles you to watch the game, and you can cheer for or against your team to a certain level. And I think everyone generally kind of knows what that reasonable area is, right? You're rooting against a team, you can boo a player or a team to a certain level. Things like this are just way so far over the line. And ultimately, it's very simple. Like, one, people should be banned from betting on anything if they're doing that to athletes. They should probably be banned from the social media platform. And it just means that you are gambling in an inappropriate way, right? Because if you have that emotional a reaction to a wager, which hopefully is not for a large sum of money, but it's too large a sum for that, emotional outburst, it's not matching the money, then you shouldn't be gambling. That's just it's an activity, that's a recreational activity. You're doing something that's too much. And athletes shouldn't have to put up with that. I think now with social media, right? Everyone, especially athletes, you're basically getting real-time feedback. Athletes, I'm sure at halftime are looking at their phones, right? And saying, hey, what are people saying about how I did in the first half, post-game? How did I do in this game? It's the same as a radio producer a host, right? after a segment, looking back, okay, what did people say about that segment? Should we talk about this more or less? That's not always a good thing just because there's more feedback. And most of the feedback is negative. And that's the biggest thing too. I don't think social media, when you see these clips, it's, oh, this person's bad, this person's ugly, this person could have done this better. There's also one-way traffic, right? The athletes are looked down upon if they're not going to be sending that back to one random person, maybe Kevin Durant. And so it's just a very difficult line for them, and just not something that they should have to deal with ever, and especially not on any basis where Graham Gano says we're used to it by now.
Yeah, and to make something clear, we have no knowledge, and I just want to say this one more time, that this has anything to do with Marshawn Kneeland's issues. We don't know, and we may never know. All I know is that, there's a family that is hurting, and there's a fan base, and there are friends, and there are colleagues that are all hurting, and we're all just stunned. As to your point about, social media and access, I mean, these things might be the greatest things of all time. They bring us all closer together. At the same time, they allow instant access, and people can tell you the worst things in the world, like Gano just said, things that they would never say to your face, ever, at any time, because they're cowards and they hide behind keyboards and they type with their thumbs. That's a totally different conversation to have. The conversation that we are having is that if you need help, if you don't feel right, then we had on the screen there 988lifeline.org. You can also call or text. I'm looking over here, 988. Call or text 988, and there is someone there who will talk to you. There is someone there that will offer a hand. There is someone there that will offer an ear and listen to you, which is all we ever need. Anyone ever needs. Just have someone listen. None of us listen these days. We don't. We talk and we wait for the other person to stop talking. And then we talk again. Listen. Listen to people. Listen to the people that you love. Listen to your neighbors. Listen to the people you work with. Just listen. And I think we would all be in a much, much, much better place. Marshawn Kneeland, by the way, again, was 24 years old. And when I reached out to my friends in Dallas today, to my friends in that building today, it was not as a reporter. And by the way, I'm not asking for a cookie for this, but I'm not trying to find out what happened. You just reach out and you say, are you okay? And let them talk and grieve, and you are there to listen. We are here to talk about football as well, and I promise we will do that. Coming up on Inside Coverage, we will attempt to navigate back to the toy shop on this broadcast, and we will give you our 5 games that we are most passionate about coming up this week, week number 10. Charles and Ben, I'm Andrew. This is Inside Coverage on Yahoo. It's Inside Coverage on Yahoo. Thanks for joining us for a Week 10 preview show. And now, back to the football. I'm Andrew Siciliano, Charles Robinson, Ben Fawkes here coming up as well. Want to get to an interview we did on Tuesday with Kevin Dotson, right guard of the LA Rams. We're going to use this to jump into our Rams 49ers preview. And again, this was Tuesday before the news today, the tragic news out of Dallas. This guy's done an amazing job at not getting his quarterback hit. His quarterback, oh, by the way, looks like an MVP. I think he's only allowed his quarterback to be hit like once. Kevin Dotson, as the Rams get ready to get some payback maybe and go to San Francisco this week, joins Inside Coverage from LA. Kevin, how are you, man?
Doing great. Feeling amazing right now, man.
Yeah, hey, you guys are feeling good after that win over the Saints. And I'm also assuming you're feeling good going to Santa Clara this week, looking for a little payback after that Thursday night. You're in this rivalry for a couple of years now. Like the Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay thing. What's the building like this week?
And it's just hyper-focused. It's we understand what it means to win this game. And just the amount of, even the young cats who come in get that feeling day one of San Fran week. So, as soon as we're going against them, they know the tempo is up, the focus is up, the mentality is different, at least a little bit. You need a little more aggression. We like that.
Can you put into words what this one means? Because I know I mentioned the coaches, and I know this one means more to Sean. I mean, there was a streak there for a couple of years where Kyle was getting them every year. But this one's got to mean more a little to you, not just because you guys lost, but all their fans at SoFi. I mean, they get under your skin, don't they?
They do. Being able to beat them there, it's always a great feeling because just the crowd is loud when you first get there, then you beat them at their own place, and it gets quiet. And that's the noise we're trying to listen to. We want the silence of the crowd every time we go over there.
We're talking about you for some Pro Bowl love. What would that mean to you and some recognition?
I mean, as offensive lineman, you don't get as much as you feel like you should. But if I could get that, it's something I've been working for, my whole career, and it's just another step that I would love to take.
We think your quarterback's going to get it. I mean, ho-hum, big deal. Matthew Stafford,
Sure.
Pro Bowler. I mean, that's kind of the thing every year, seemingly, for a guy that's likely going to go to Canton one day and get one of those fancy jackets.
Sure.
What would it mean, though, for an MVP? Because if you look at his numbers, listen, we talked Josh Allen, we talked Patrick Mahomes, we talked Drake May. All of them are in the conversation. Kevin, help me out. Understand why Matthew's not getting that same hype already this year?
You had to tell me, man. It's maybe I'm biased, but to me, he looked like the best quarterback out there. Now I'm just, I feel like the more eyes that get to see him, and like even the quarterbacks that talk about him, they know how great he is. Young quarterbacks are looking up to him. Older quarterbacks, like, I really respect him. So it's like he just has to have his opportunities to get in front of everybody's eyes, because once you see it, it's crazy.
And you can see it, like, to your point, after each and every game. And you saw it this past Sunday when there's like a receiving line of Saints who are there to shake his hand and to give him a hug and almost like to kiss the ring for a guy that has won a Super Bowl and a guy that is truly, and this is so corny and a cliche, another coach on the field. Go back to London if you could, because Sean McVay told a story after y'all got back, and he said that during the walkthrough on Saturday, and you guys were crazy, like Baltimore, and then going there, and then, like, you didn't get any sleep, but you're doing the walkthrough, and there was some concern because you were at Wembley that maybe the Jaguars might be watching, not accusing them of funny business here, but that he basically told Matthew, like, go run some crazy trick play, like whatever you want, make something up, just to throw them off. And he said later it was a pretty cool play. Kevin, what was that play?
It was like a double screen flip back and then like a deep pass down the field. He made it up like legit. He said, hey, just make something up because, we feel like they might have somebody watching, like you said. And he was like, okay, you do this, you do that, this and that. And it's like, we've never ran this play before. And it looked like we've been practicing it for months, man. He communicates so perfectly with that.
Did it work?
It worked. I mean, we're just doing the walkthrough at that
Right.
time. But I think it would work for sure.
But Puka wasn't there, so was it to Devontae?
Yeah, it was to Devontae at the end.
All right. Like, you think that if Sean threw it in there,
we could run it easily because, the way we ran it that day, I could see it getting somebody.
I like it. And Sean did say, by the way, that he liked it too, that he was open to it.
Hey,
and that he was as impressed as you.
Hey, he didn't. I don't think he expected any type of real play to actually go down. Like, he maybe expected us to just start doing some, like, throwing the ball backwards and all that, like pitching the ball and stuff. But hey, I think that would be real. That just shows you how he can think.
All right, well, coming to a stadium near you, we could see the new Matthew Stafford trick play. Hey, your hair, we got blonde right now. What happened to the Rams horns and the blue and all that you showed up at training camp with?
The Rams horns was for camp, and then I have like a blue LA on the back.
Oh my God, look at that, dude!
Switched it up for the middle of the season, man.
What's next?
Man, I don't know, man. I'm really just. I didn't expect to have hair this long, man. I expected to lose my hairline like 3 years ago.
What does the family think?
Hey, they like it. They like it a lot, actually. They like when it's a little more grown out, but I mean, nobody's complaining.
Could you get Sean to do the Rams helmet thing on the side?
I think he already got a signature look, man. I think that's that's his style.
So I was not there, but I'm told that like you were in Maui yucking it up playing golf with only a driver. Some people say I could play with only like, hey, give me a putter and a 7-iron. That's good. Kevin, you played a whole round with only a driver, including putting with a driver?
For sure. I mean, it felt right. And I really haven't been golfing, like actually going golfing. And I only do like what's that golf place where you
Top Golf.
Top Golf.
Yeah.
I'm used to only just swinging as hard as I can. So once we got out there, I was like, this is the only club I feel comfortable with. And I just used it.
How'd you shoot?
Horrible. I'm so trash at golf. I'm horrible at golf.
But you guys played in Maui. Who'd you play with and who won?
I played with a couple of our offensive line. We definitely didn't win, but like I said, Stafford and those guys, Stafford, Devontae, and those guys, they almost semi-pro. Seems like.
Is Avila any good?
I have no idea.
His celebrations are kind of crazy. So are yours, by the way, with the jump shot. Like, you guys, we had the two guards here. You guys competing for celebrations. Like when someone jumped off sides a couple of weeks ago and then he went nuts. That was pretty fun.
Man, we're trying to get just to get that like you said, the offensive line appreciation. You don't get a lot of time to celebrate. Like, it's never on you. So when you get that first down or we get a big run or something like that, that was the time to celebrate. Try to get everybody hyped for the offensive line also.
Were you this guy in Pittsburgh? Were you this much fun?
I don't believe so. I don't believe so.
Why not?
I feel like California really opened up something for me. Maybe just in confidence wise,
Was it the environment back there that kept you bottled up?
I mean, it's one of those things where it's like I wasn't used to being cold all the time to start off. There wasn't a lot of sun there. Not a lot of stuff to do there. It was like a culture shock, and it really wasn't in too positive a way. I love the team overall, but there was definitely stuff behind the scenes that you like. Oh man, it's kind of ruined an experience for me. And but I still loved being down there. The time I was down there.
I totally understand it. And then finally, what I told you I was going to ask you before we started this, and it's just so background here. We're recording this on Tuesday, right before the trade deadline. So you sat down and I said, "Have you heard about the trade?" And you said, "What trade?" So now I'm going to tell you the trade. Kevin, tell me what you think. The New York Jets have sent Sauce Gardner to the Indianapolis Colts for 2 first-round picks. No joke. Your thoughts?
That might be their perfect pickup, man. I mean, that is one of the key things that they needed. And for him that's a trade. I never even thought that could be the trade. Like, as you were saying it never crossed my mind for somebody to give up one of their best at least. Players.
Yeah, and the Colts are throwing in A.D. Mitchell, the wide receiver who you guys remember dropped the ball there at SoFi on the goal line. But 2 number 1s, man, for any player these days, like other than a quarterback, you don't see that.
I mean, they must have a lot of confidence in the future. That's man, that's kind of crazy to me. I can't lie. I wouldn't have did it.
Yeah, I thought Ian Rappaport got hacked, honestly, but he didn't. It's a real trade.
They must be trying to win. They try to guarantee themselves a win this year.
Yeah, they're trying to win, as the Rams are trying to win as well. Kevin Dotson, a huge part of that success. Rams offensive lineman here on Inside Coverage. Kevin, good luck not only this week in San Francisco, but the rest of the way. Thanks for joining us today, man.
Thank you for having me.
Kevin Dotson, fun guy, as the Rams go up now to San Francisco and try to get a little bit of revenge in even that series. This is the 5 seed in the NFC visiting the 6 seed. This is a Kevin Burkhardt, Tom Brady, Aaron Andrews, Tom Rinaldi late window game. It is the best of the 3 late window games this week. Big thing here. Excuse me, guys, as we kind of alluded to, beg your pardon, Puka Nacua is back. after missing the game in London. Also, wow, fighting it here. Big thing here. The Niners, Charles, are 3-0 in the NFC West, and they are 6-1 in the NFC. I kind of alluded to it there. The Rams are 1-2 in the NFC, and they are 0-1 in the division. The Rams really, really need this game. They've been playing mostly the AFC. They need a win in the division.
Yeah, let's be honest. I mean, Kyle Shanahan's done pretty well against Sean McVay, and I think he likes that. I think he likes that he feels like this disciple is someone that he's been able to solve repeatedly. You go back to me. I think this game stacks up. It's the lines, right? Like you get the Rams. They have a top 2, 3, depending on what metrics you want to use, what services and analytics you're breaking down. But they have a top 2 to 3 defensive line in football. The 49ers, although it might be some smoke and mirrors here, have what would roughly be like a top 5 offensive line performance-wise this year. And when you go back to the game earlier this season, the reason why the 49ers had success is Mac Jones is getting the ball out, right? Like, I mean, the one thing that has been, I think, the greatest aid to that 49ers offensive line is just his decisiveness, especially when he knows he is facing an opponent where the strength is going to be up front and their ability to disrupt the game is going to be able to get to Mac Jones. He has not wasted any time in those games getting the ball out of his hands. Again, being very decisive. I think Kyle Shanahan's been thrilled with not only is he being decisive, but in the moments that he doesn't have to be, he gets through his reads. And, this has been with a roster that's been beat up offensively at times. I just got to feel like the Rams look back at the game earlier this season and think we didn't get home on Mac Jones nearly as much as we really should have. And that's got to change this game.
Yeah, that game was one of many that knocked out a lot of Survivor contestants on Thursday Night Football. 8.5-point favorites. The Rams losing that game. And it did seem like it took them 3 quarters to adjust that, like you said, C-Rob, he was just dumping it down to Christian McCaffrey, these others receivers, short passes, 5, 7, 8 yards. There's an interesting rivalry right now. Rams 4.5-point favorites. Since 2019, the underdog in this series, the last 14 games, is 13-1 against the spread with 10 outright upsets. So basically, if you're an underdog, generally you're covering and a lot of times winning. That would be the 49ers in this game. I do think the Rams nationally probably aren't discussed as much. They're 3rd overall in DVOA, 3rd on offense, 5th on defense. So very balanced. They've been a very good team. And they've basically had that weird game against the Niners that they lost. They've won and covered their last 3. And then they had arguably the worst bad beat of the season in that game back against the Eagles, where they were up, I believe, 26-7 in the 3rd quarter and end up losing on that blocked kick return for a touchdown. So not only did they lose, they didn't cover that game as well. They've been a very good team. This is, like we said, one that they need. The Niners, Mac Jones has played well, 14th in QBR. The Niners are 15th overall. But at some point, are there too many injuries on defense? And does the dam break? Nick Bosa's out. Fred Warner's out. Now their first-round pick, Mikael Williams, is out. At some point, you thought Brandon Ayuk would be back on the field. Still not on the field. So at a certain point, are there too many injuries? I think the Rams are just the better team here. Now, whether or not they cover 4.5 points, Mac Jones has been playing very well. But the Rams seem like they're on a mission right now, and this is a game they need in the division, as well as potentially for the 1 seed in the NFC.
And this one's personal, and I kind of alluded to it a little bit there with Kevin Dotson. Not personal like Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan hate each other. Not like that. But remember, the Niners swept the Rams 4 consecutive years. Obviously, the Rams got them in the NFC Championship game when they went to and then eventually won the Super Bowl. They beat the Bengals at SoFi. But the Niners beat the Rams by pushing them around. They were known as the more physical football team, and that got under the Rams' skin. That got under Sean McVay's skin. They were able to come back and obviously beat them last year, and then they lost when they were the better team, they think, at least, on that Thursday night, Week 5. Jared Verse and the Rams have 27 sacks combined. Verse doesn't have, but the Rams' pass rush is good. Niners have no pass rush. That honestly should factor a lot here. But the Rams traditionally do not win up there. Matter of fact, last year, when they went up there last year, there were no touchdowns in that game. Hold on, let me get the score of that one. Last year, it was one of, I think, only 2 games in the NFL that did not have a touchdown a year ago. It was a 16-7 game or 16-6 game, something ridiculous like that. Also in this game, Matthew Stafford is having an MVP season. We talked Drake May, we talked Josh Allen, we talked Patrick Mahomes, we talked Jonathan Taylor. We do not talk Matthew Stafford. We should talk Matthew Stafford because he needs to be at this advanced age with a bad back in the MVP conversation. He has 21 touchdowns and he has 2 interceptions. And that is that. We mentioned Drake May. Let's get to that game because this is the best game in the early window. It's Drake May and the 7-2 Patriots on the road at the banged up Buccaneers, who are 6-2, and they're coming off a bye. This is, as luck would have it, the 2 seed in the AFC visiting the 2 seed in the NFC, and it is a Nance and Romo and Tracy Wolfson game. Also, maybe a Pop Douglas game because Keyshawn Boutte is out. But the Buccaneers have way too many injuries. They had Evans out and Godwin out and Irving out. And I think the injuries are too many. I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball. They have not been able to run the ball all year. You're going up against the best run defense in the NFL. The Bucs, the last 2 weeks, Charles, simply are not scoring points with all those injuries. Offensively, I'm sorry, I'm fighting it here. If the Patriots win this, obviously they're taking off. But they're looking at 8-2, and we need to have a serious conversation here. Who knows what the Colts are going to do in Germany about the road to the Super Bowl in the AFC going through Foxborough, as absurd as that sounds.
Yeah, never. I mean, look, it's funny because we can look, let's say we look back on it now, we might feel different at the end of January. There's still a lot of football to be played. But what we can say is, they spent a lot in free agency, which doesn't always work. We're talking about the Patriots here. They expected this big step forward from Drake May. That doesn't always work with second-year quarterbacks. We expected Mike Vrabel would be on his P's and Q's coaching not only an entirety of an organization, but also defensively. It's all come together. The multitude of free agency, signings, particularly like Stephon Diggs, has been such a leader on this team. And let's not forget, I thought, this is going to be interesting. When they signed Stephon Diggs, I'm like, I don't know how Stephon Diggs and Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels, for that matter, are really going to mesh. And Stephon Diggs has not only performed well and just been such a great number 1 wide receiver for Drake May, I think he's picked up a leadership mantle on that team as well, which is really, really important. I think Mike has had a superb, the element of coaching. Mike's definitely should be in the conversation for potentially winning Coach of the Year honors in the AFC. And I was talking to a scout who's doing advanced scouting of the Patriots, and we were more talking about the 2024 draft class, and he brought up Drake May, and he said, I did some advanced work on the Patriots. And he said, the stunning thing to me, knowing that organization, knowing how much Mike Vrabel detests turnovers, and knowing how conservative Josh McDaniels can be if he doesn't trust you, he said Drake May is throwing it downfield like he has the full trust of Josh McDaniels. He's throwing it downfield like Mike Vrabel is not worried about him turning the ball over. And he was just
the best deep ball thrower in the NFL this year.
Yeah.
Look at the numbers.
He said it sticks out like a sore thumb, and he's like the only quarterback, and he's done advanced work on the Patriots for years. He said the only quarterback you've ever really seen, especially with Josh McDaniels, just get free reign was Tom Brady. He said, I'm not saying he's Tom Brady, but they trust him a lot. And he's through a season and a half of football, and only half a season with this staff.
Yeah, I mean, look, Bucks 2.5-point home favorites coming off that bye. The Patriots we talked about before the season as well. They were coming off of obviously a season, right, where they're in last place in the AFCs. The benefit of that is you get an easier schedule. You also, they don't know that you're a 4-13 team that then also has a rookie quarterback who's going to have this infusion of talent, new coach, all these things. Take the second-year leap along with an easier schedule. The Patriots, as we said, I think were projected to be favored in 11 or 12 of those 17 games before the season. It's probably going to be more than that. their schedule just has set up really well. And that's basically what people have used against them is, hey, they're not beating anyone. Well, guess what? They're not going to play anyone the rest of the season for the most part either. After this game, they have Jets at Bengals, Giants, then Buffalo at Baltimore. Those are the two tough ones, at Jets, Miami. So this is easily a schedule where even if they lose those other games, they're going to get to double-digit wins. It would be a big miss, obviously, if they're missing the playoffs. It just seems like they have a potential chance to win that division. And like you said, number one seed. To that point, their schedule, Aaron Schatz, one of the top 5 easiest that he's tracked at FTN Fantasy since 1978. So very, very easy schedule. That being said, you have to beat who's on there. This is a really interesting game. Baker Mayfield has played well off of a bye, and the Patriots' rush defense is the only team since 1970 not to allow a 50-yard rusher. No one has rushed for 50 yards against them this season. So it's going to be Baker Mayfield who has to get it done. Keyshawn Boutte didn't practice. I think that's a big injury. I tend to lean the Bucs. I do think they get it done. The Patriots aren't going to win every single game this season, and that Todd Bowles defense, I think, will give Drake May some issues on Sunday.
I'll tell you what. Go ahead.
One thing I'd interject here too. Garrett Bradbury, your starting center, didn't practice Wednesday. Ramondre Stevenson didn't practice.
Yep.
And Todd Bowles, we know he's as blitz happy as anybody in the NFL. And if Travion Henderson, who has not been great at picking up blitzes this season, if he's a guy you're going to have to rely on because Ramondre Stevenson's out. Against Todd Bowles and that blitzing defense, it's going to be Drake May's got a full plate, I think, for him on this one.
Couple of things. Number one, I was going to say Malachi Corley had a 31-yard end around when last we saw the Patriots on the field. Just give him the ball more. Maybe he could have gotten to 50 yards a week ago. Travion Henderson had his best game as a pro in week 8. He almost fumbled. He held on to the football. And then go look at the schedule here. As easy as the Patriots schedule, easy, I'll put it in air quotes, allegedly is. After this for the Bucs, they go to Buffalo and to the Rams. So if the Bucs were to lose this, it does not get easier. It actually gets more difficult in the 2 weeks to come. They badly need this, but I think the Patriots are the better team. That is just me. Coming up next, great Sunday night game in LA, pretty decent Monday night game as well. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Inside Coverage. It's Inside Coverage on Yahoo. Andrew Siciliano, Charles Robinson, Ben Fawkes. Thanks for joining us here for our Week 10 preview show. Not every game. We don't have time for that. We don't want to do a 3-hour pod. You don't have time for that either. Even if you were to listen to us on 2x speed, which I'll be honest, I mostly listen to our pods on 2x speed. Anyone's pod. You guys, you ever done that? Because I listen back to our show on 2x. Charles, have you done that?
Yeah, I like if the most fun is if you slow it down enough that we all sound drunk all the time. Sometime we should just go ahead and get hammered and then play the show on like 2x when we're actually drunk doing the show and see if it sounds normal.
Please, of course, use responsibly. Fun fact, stop me if I've told this story before. When I worked at NFL Network, as I said, I listen to most of my pods on 1.75 or 2 because you got a lot of content you got to cram in every week, right? You only have so many hours in our day. And I would listen to shows that my colleagues there make, whether it's Daniel Jeremiah or Bucky Brooks or Greg Rosenthal or whomever. And then when we would sit down at the desk and actually do a TV segment, when they opened their mouth, they all sounded drunk to me. Because I'm used to hearing them at Alvin and the Chipmunks speed, kids look it up, and then all of a sudden they're talking at a normal tone. I'm like, are you guys okay? Like, it sounds like you're running in mud. Are you? Yeah. And then you realize your brain has been programmed. Like Greg Rosenthal at 2X. I love it, but anyway, I digress. Let's get back to football. We're going to do the Ravens and the Vikings here. This is a 3-5 at 4-4 game. This game is in Minnesota. It is the 10 seed at the 10 seed. So both of these teams who made the playoffs a year ago, neither would be in if the season were to end right now. It would also be quite a headline if the season were to end right now. Kevin Kugler, Daryl Johnston, and Allison Williams on this one. The Ravens won 2 games in 5 days, and then they had the mini bye, so they are rested and ready. And if you believe the NFL's next-gen stats, it's all projection, it's all a simulation. We all are living in a simulation. The Ravens now have a 47% chance to win the AFC North. They are 3-5. That is absolutely bonkers. This is only J.J. McCarthy's fourth NFL start. If you believe that playing Kyle Hamilton in the box 50% of the time and getting Roquan Smith back and healthy again is the magic elixir to fix the Ravens defense, then go for it. This is a Ravens win. If you think that J.J. McCarthy, even though he's throwing for like $150 a game, that's it, can find a way to make plays in the fourth quarter, which is seemingly Charles's superpower, then go for it. Take the Vikings. I'm honestly kind of undecided. Logic dictates that this should be the Ravens. Something in my gut tells me that Kevin O'Connell, or more importantly, Brian Flores, can blitz the heck out of Lamar, even though he's good against the blitz, and junk this thing up to make it interesting.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the when you stare at this game, and I'm playing in a knockout league, and I have both of these teams still available, and I'm staring at this game like, is it possible to pick a winner between these two? And the struggle you have is the Ravens' defense is healthy, great, but what does that mean? I don't think we really fully know. We have not seen A, the consistency of health there, and then B, what it actually translates to on the football field. So it's hard to stare at the Ravens and feel confident that, hey, okay, everybody's healthy now. This is going to go back to our early September expectations for the Baltimore Ravens. We have to see that unit function with the players that they have available. And this is it. What they have, there's the clean injury report. What they're rolling with is what that defense has available to it. And then you flip it to J.J. McCarthy. As you said, it's his fourth start. But he's every start for J.J. McCarthy has just been so all over the map, right? Like it's even within games, it's been all over the map. I don't know that we trust him consistently. And I'm a little worried, frankly, like J.J. McCarthy comes out this week and he's talking about, this ferocity or this vicious stare he had after beating the Lions.
His name.
Yeah. His alter ego, Nine.
His alter ego.
I did not, I'll be real, I did not absorb that positively. I'm like, man, y'all are feeling yourself a little bit. Like, this is early. Yeah, it was an impressive win, but I like teams that stay very conservative inside that, particularly when you have what is effectively a rookie quarterback. Let's be real. And I'm like, this felt over the skis for me to kind of listen to his explanation of this alter ego that he has. I'm like, man, this is we got to slow down a little bit and see some consistency from the offense. Now, again, he's not throwing for a ton of yards, but he is throwing to the right guy. He's going to Justin Jefferson when he needs to. That's his A1 primary. He looks like he's on the page now with Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson. So he's using the weapons he has available to him. It's tough to call. I tend in this one to go with best player on the field. That's Lamar Jackson. And you give me Lamar Jackson and a healthy defense, I'm going to lean that the Ravens take this one. And I know, as crazy as it is to talk about the AFC, you just look at their slate of games after this. The Cleveland Browns, New York Jets, the Cincinnati Bengals. Okay, hey, they play a team with a winning record in the Steelers, but then it's back to the Bengals before they get to the Patriots. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, potentially a 5-1 record in their next 6 games. That's why Vegas shifted the AFC North in their favor.
Yeah, Ravens, I think, minus 145 at BetMGM to win the AFC North. They're a 3.5-point road favorite, open to 3.5-point road favorite. And this one up to 4, got as high as 4.5 before coming back to 4. It makes sense. The total also has ticked up a couple points, up from 47.5 to 49.5 to defenses that haven't performed as well. Vikings actually the best team in the NFL. If you could say best, 7-1 to the over. The Ravens 6-2 to the over. So most of the games they've played have gone over the total. Lamar Jackson 24-3 against the NFC. And an interesting stat as well. Under Kevin O'Connell, the Vikings have played 5 games directly after facing the Lions. They are 0-5 in those games. They've failed to not win, but not cover by 12 games. They've lost outright by double digits in 3 of them, in 3 of those 5. So basically, play the Lions, physical team, gear up towards that, and there's a letdown the next week. This Ravens defense, like Charles said, I don't think we exactly know what it is. they won that game easily on the scoreboard against the Dolphins. Whatever the final was, 28-6. The Dolphins were moving the ball up and down the field, especially in the first half, and just kept shooting themselves in the foot and weren't able to score. So ultimately, I think that the Ravens probably win this game. I think they're the more talented team, and the Vikings are somewhat game planning around JJ McCarthy, and they've been able to win games because of that. But ultimately, they're not necessarily playing the same way they did last year, which was with Sam Darnold, how he's playing in Seattle, always from the lead, right? You can run the ball, play action. They're playing from the lead in Seattle. That's what the Vikings did last year. They haven't done that as much this season. I think this is another game the Ravens get right. I'd love to be wrong. I didn't think the Vikings were going to go into Detroit and win that game last week, but I think the Ravens are kind of on a mission. They're getting healthier. And also with some of those acquisitions they had in the trade deadline, I think the pass rush will be a little improved.
All right, before we get to the Monday night game, we're going to do a quick hitter here on the Sunday night game. The Sunday night game is the Steelers coming west to SoFi to play the Chargers in Los Angeles. It is, in terms of the AFC seeds, looking down here, I beg your pardon, the 4 seed on the road at the 6 seed, Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, and obviously Melissa Stark down on the sideline. Real quick, this is a very, very quick analysis for me. No one knows who's going to play O-line for the Chargers. Bobby Hart's banged up. Obviously, Joe Alt is out for the year. No one has any clue. I mean, they traded for Trevor Penning. Is he your left guard? Well, Zion Johnson is actually there and healthy. He can't play right guard. He's never played right guard. You put him at left tackle. You put Mekhi Becton at left tackle. Nobody has any idea who's going to play O-line for the Chargers. And the Steelers are coming off their best defensive performance of the year, where they blitz the you-know-what out of Daniel Jones. I think they're going to do the same to Justin Herbert, and they are going to put relentless pressure on him, something he has faced all year. This is the worst case scenario for the Chargers O-line. I'm not going to say the Steelers are going to blow them out, but I don't see, Charles, how the Chargers can stand up against this pass rush.
Yeah, and I mean, you're talking about Kamani Vidal at running back. The offensive line, as you said, cannot underscore that enough. That this offensive line, Trevor Penning could be your starting left tackle. You just acquired the guy. As you said, the right side of the line's banged up. You don't even know who's going to end up playing on the right side of the offensive line. That combination and trying to figure this out now on the fly versus, as you said, the Steelers that were so adept at the pass rush last week and have it. It felt like that defense finally felt like it got some flow. TJ Watt, I'm like, there he is. That's the TJ Watt. We've been expecting. We're used to. I feel like the Steelers are coming in on a heater, and it's the worst possible time for the Chargers to be dealing with this kind of offensive line problems. I'm with you. I'm leaning Steelers here just because of the fact that the Chargers have, I think, what is now the worst mess they've had on their hands from an offensive line.
Ben, give me 45 seconds if you can on this one.
Yeah, Chargers, they were 4.5-point favorites on the look ahead. They are now 3-point favorites, down to 2.5-point favorites at some books. That's a big move through 3 when that happens. Steelers 10th in DVOA, Chargers 18th. And ultimately, the Chargers also haven't covered in 5 of their last 6 games. Basically, you just need to know, is Joe Alt playing? In this game, he's not playing. When he plays more than 50% of the snaps, the Chargers are 4-0, 3-0-1 against the spread. When he doesn't, they're 2-3, 0-5 against the spread. He's not playing in this game. I think I would agree. You take the Steelers with the points, and they have a great chance to win outright.
When Joe Alt doesn't play, Justin Herbert is pressured 46% of his dropbacks. That's all you got to know. And Joe Alt is not going to play the rest of the year. And now, certainly not least, but definitely last year on our show, the Philadelphia Eagles at 6-2 on the road to the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau. Lambeau under the lights on Monday Night Football with Joe and Troy and Lisa in a playoff rematch. The 1 seed in the NFC visiting the 4 seed. We've spent all this time the last couple of weeks. Are the Eagles a passing team or a running team? You know what, guys? It doesn't matter because they have found a way to win nearly every week. And last week, Saquon came alive. And then, what do you know? Tank Bigsby comes alive behind him, not Will Shipley. And then Jalen Hurts is 15-20. Now A.J. Brown is back. When last we saw him, he was having a big game. And Devontae Smith is blown up. And the Packers, conversely, just played a stinker last week and lost at home. I know Matt LaFleur is going to have his team ready. But right now, with all the drama And with all the wasted hot air on the Philadelphia Eagles, we need to step back and say they're really, really, really good. And they are the better team, Charles, in this matchup head-to-head at Lambeau.
Yeah, and I mean, we're not even talking about Jalen Phillips, right? I mean, they go out and they get Jalen Phillips, you're like, okay, go get another young, edge who's going to do nothing but be aided by the fact that he slides into a rotation with a bunch of experienced players. Brandon Graham's coming back. I mean, it's just the Philadelphia Eagles have found a way coming out of the trade deadline, and Bigsby was a guy they acquired early in the season to suddenly feel like, hey, they're now at full power, right? They were plugged into the wall for the most of the season. We've been waiting for them to charge, and it's finally hit 100% on that bar. And when I look at them playing the Packers, here's the thing about the Packers. I don't get them. I don't understand them. From one game to the next, I don't know if it's immaturity on that roster right now. I don't know if it's just because you have had an influx of different leaders coming in, particularly with Micah Parsons. Jordan Love, he's going to turn the corner, but like his most reliable guy on that offense was Tucker Kraft. He's lost for the season. One game to the next, I don't know which Packers team I'm going to get. And I got to feel like there's a maturity issue there and a cohesiveness that Matt LaFleur has to resolve. And I don't know if that's going to happen against the Philadelphia Eagles in this game.
This is definitely the line I would say that stood out the most. The Packers, a 2.5-point home favorite in Green Bay, right? You'd think it'd be maybe a little more even. Home field generally worth 1.5 points. I think Lambeau is one of the bigger home field advantages that we have in the NFL. The most difficult thing about handicapping NFL games is that you're not just picking the Packers against the Eagles. You're picking what version of the Eagles against what version of the Packers.
Right.
And right now you have an Eagles team that had Saquon got injured, right? Came off a bye. He's now healthier. AJ Brown missed a game. He's now healthier. You have all those trade deadline acquisitions versus a Packers team that just lost a game they shouldn't have and really probably can't afford to if they want the 1 seed in the NFC against the Panthers and lose arguably their second best player on offense in Tucker Kraft. So we don't actually know this Packers team without him as an offensive weapon. We haven't seen it yet. They have all these offensive weapons, which is great. Matthew Golden hasn't done that much. He's going to need to step up. But what does this offense look like without Tucker Kraft, who really in that Steelers game was the reason, especially in the second half, they pulled away there. So what does Jordan Love look like after not playing that well the previous game? And then for the Eagles, they got the Lions after this. So this is 2 big games in a row, NFC number 1 seed, kind of heavyweights going at it. And the Packers have started slow. The last 3 games, they've scored 6 points, 7 points, 6 points in the first half. They've gone over their first half total 2 out of the 8 games so far. So they can't start slow against this Eagles team. I like the Eagles in this game. I think the Eagles are a great teaser leg as well from +2.5 to +8.5. Should be an amazing game, though. Can't wait to watch.
Yeah, and really, if you go back to the Sunday night game as well, even though we all kind of like the Steelers here over the Chargers, considering the O-line issues, these are 2 fun games in primetime, Sunday night and Monday night this week, a week that has 7 games early and 3 games late, and a game, don't forget to set your lineup by 9:30 Eastern time, especially if you have Bijan, I've heard it both ways, or Jonathan Taylor for that matter, as the Colts and the Falcons will play in Berlin. And I'm sure somebody will say Guten Morgen and butcher the German. Try to, make it fun with frivolity in Berlin. This has been a show that has certainly had some fun, but also some serious stuff as well. Charles and Ben, thank you for your thoughts on everything today. And thank you for listening, and thank you for watching this Week 10 preview show on Inside Coverage. For the other 2 guys on the screen, my name is Andrew Siciliano. Enjoy your weekend of football, people. We'll talk to you on Monday.